So, why did I just start off this video by juggling? Now, quick story about these juggling hacky sack balls is I learned how to juggle using these when I was probably 10, 12 years old. And my grandparents bought these, and this is how old that was. There was no video that went along with it. There was no online code that you type in and learn how from some instructor. It was just one little sheet of paper that taught you what to do. And lo and behold, I learned how to juggle. Now, I'm not the greatest juggler in the world, but I wanted to use that as an analogy for your body. Now, what's the analogy with juggling? Well, I liken the body to a juggler. The body's dealing with all these different things, kind of like a juggler is dealing with multiple things up in the air that he's balancing around through passing them up and catching them and passing them up and catching them. Well, the body can deal with its normal amount of, let's just say, juggling balls, all right, or bowling pins or knives or whatever someone's juggling, right? It can juggle what it can juggle. Some people have a tolerance to be able to juggle more things in their life, meaning they might be able to throw another ball in and have some stress, have some kids, have some lack of sleep, have some bad diet. People can handle certain levels, but for how long? And I think some people genetically, and then also because they've been able to practice dealing with the amount of stuff that comes into their life, the amount of lack of sleep. They've gotten used to it. They've built strategies on how to deal with that. Whereas some people, they can't deal with that amount and it breaks them right away. And it's like a juggler dropping the balls. At some point, he's going to drop the ball. And with your body, your health, it's going to end up dropping something at some point. And usually this is when we get sick. On a small microcosm, it's when we get sick. And our body, because we have a lack of sleep, because we have too much stress, because we have poor diet, our body says, all right, enough's enough. So I'm going to make you throw up. I'm going to make you not be able to eat. Your throat's going to be sore. I'm going to make you be weak so you can't do anything. You can't do any of these crazy activities. You just have to sit and rest and sleep. And so our body has ways of slowing us down and stopping us, but there are more extreme ways. Heart attack, stroke, cancer. There's so many different things that can end up happening to our body. And what I believe is just a philosophy that I have about the body from what I've seen is when we take on too much and we don't have, like I said, the skills or the strategy or even perhaps the genetics to be able to deal with the amount that we give our body, it accumulates too much and we might be able to get away with it for a short period of time or even in some cases a longer, more extended period of time. But at some point, the juggler drops the balls. And then what? Then we're, like I said, extreme cases, we're in the hospital or maybe we don't make it out. And so with your body, how can you take this information and use it? Understand yourself, okay, by looking at your day, looking at your life and going, okay, what's my inventory, right? I'm doing an inventory on step 4 of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous right now. And you have to take a personal inventory of all the terrible things you've done, all your fears, all of your sex acts, all of the resentments that you have. You have to look at your life and kind of see what are you doing to be able to just keep yourself going in everyday life. Okay, what am I doing? Take the good and the bad. And if you look at things and you start seeing that, some people, they don't see any problem with what they have. But I would say to you, what are the things that you look at in your life and know that you can make a change or you should make a change? For a lot of people, that might be their diet. We talk a lot about on this. They know that they should be making a change, but they're not making a change because they haven't had the stroke. They haven't had the heart attack. They haven't had the diagnosis of pre-diabetes or diabetes, type 2 diabetes or something like that. So they don't have this leverage to change, but they know that they should change something. And so when I say the juggler, it's like eating the cookies and the cakes and drinking the soda or whatever. It's like, you shouldn't be doing that. The juggler is still juggling it for the moment, but at what point does he drop the ball? When you get the diagnosis, when you start having symptoms, by that point, I'm not going to say it's too late, But for a lot of people, it is. They've built up such a pattern, and then to try to make a U-turn, it's like trying to make a U-turn in the Titanic. That's not going to go very well. It's going to take a lot of force for you to be able to do that. So what I would say is use this information and say, what am I doing that I know I should be changing? Am I taking on too much? Am I saying yes to too many opportunities? I was just talking to a client about this. She's stressed out of her mind, and she always complains about stress, and she keeps taking on more responsibility, things that she doesn't have to. She could say no at any point to stop these extra things. They don't have any effect. Like, it's not like someone's holding a gun to her head and saying, you have to do this. She's volunteering herself to add more stress to her life. And what's going to end up happening? She's going to end up having more of the symptoms that she's complaining about. And it's like, you can do, all the stress relief you want, but if you're not finding what you can handle, it might be too much for you. And so you have to kind of know what you can get away with. Some people, they sleep 2, 3, 4 hours a night and they can get away with it. Other people, they can get away with that for a short period of time, an extended period of time, a year or two. And then what starts happening? Okay, we need that recovery, and it starts coming out in other ways. So main areas that we tend to talk about, but some things that just come to mind: diet. What's your diet like? Hey, you're getting away with it now, but what do you think the long-term effects of this? Is it your weight, right? Is your diet attributed to your weight? People might have great blood markers and be overweight or obese, but for how long? Like I said, the juggler can only do so much for so long. The pressure on the joints, the pressure in the organs, the amount of stress that those tissues have to go through, it might come back on a lab. Hey, you're healthy today, but it's accumulating, it's building, and then something goes. Like I said, it drops. The liver says too much, all right? Insulin, background insulin is so high from so much blood sugar all the time that now you have insulin, you're desensitized to insulin, and now you have type 2 diabetes. So there's so many different things that could happen in the body that go along with this. But stress is another big one, like we talked about. Sleep is another one. These main areas, what are you doing? Now, if you can't change any of those things, hey, JD, this is great, but my juggler I'm juggling 15 things at the same time and I can't drop one of them. Life might force you to. Like I said, this is what ends up happening with people that get some sort of crazy diagnosis and then they're in the hospital. Life goes on with or without you. You might have a lot of people dependent on you. But now I would say if that's your case and you know that, and if you going to the hospital is going to affect tons of people, what can you do today to be able to manage that better? How can you find ways of managing it? Because if nothing changes in your life, it's your response to things that's going to dictate how your body responds to things, right? Your ability to handle it and breathe and move on and go and hey, it might be, hey, my diet's suffering. I don't have the time to do it. Okay, if you don't have the time, what are some ways that maybe you have the money? I can pay to have someone make my diet better for me. I don't have the time or the effort or the knowledge to be able to do it, but I can pay someone. Okay, maybe I don't have the money, right? Do you really have the time? Examine that. Okay, maybe I don't have the time, but I know that there's other options that I can eat that are out there that are at the same time effective. Okay, it's just I have to go out of my way to do. Okay, there's different situations that you could, again, fine. But if you never ask yourself the question, if you just assume that you can get away with this forever, I would say, on average, I've seen it, there's something that ends up breaking. Like I said, the juggler ends up dropping a ball. And then what do? I don't want it to be too late. And you see it for a lot of people. It's too late by that point. I was just listening to a guy talk about how when you're taking something like say for diabetes and you have high blood sugar and you take something like insulin, well, what's actually happening is the insulin in your body, that raised insulin to try to push down the blood sugar, is actually a hormone that is creating more problems in your life. It's creating more problems with the body, whether it comes to the liver, whether it comes to the fat tissue on the body. It has this cascade effect. Whereas if we just push more insulin in and the blood sugar goes down, yeah, we get better numbers with the blood sugar, but now we've got this insulin that's actually causing more harm So although it seems like our blood sugar is great, we have this background insulin, and that's what's creating all these other problems. So instead of having that creep behind the scenes, what can we do to minimize all of that and get you into a more balanced state with the juggler? Like I said, some people, they can deal with juggling 15 things at one time, okay? What can you get away with? And if you already have like an inkling, you're thinking about this right now, like, man, this has been too much for me. I know I should have said no. I know I need to balance back off. I know that I took on this project and I'm making more money, but it's stressing me out. I can manage my money better and live a better life if I just don't spend so much, and I don't need this extra job to keep up with the spending habit. Some people need to make choices in their life, but with your health, what are you doing that's going to hurt it in the long term? Are you juggling too many things, or can you find a way to give your body a break, rest it, and find something that's a little bit more balanced for you? Like I said, genetically and just the way that people live, some people can get away with more than others, other people can't. Some people can get away with a shitty diet. For whatever reason, genetically, they can handle it. Other people, no. Some people, they can handle it for longer periods of time. Some people can't. So where are you at in that? And be honest with yourself. Like I said, doing an inventory. What have you been taking on that's too much? Are you doing stress relief things, even though you're stressed out all the time and you have all this stress? Are you doing the things that can help you? Again, there's ways of managing it, but just not looking at it and just acting like this is going to go on forever when you yourself know that this is a little dicey. That's what I would say. Take that juggler analogy and try to give him a break, all right? Instead of juggling 8 things, how about 6 things? Maybe he can manage that better. So try not to get to the point where the balls drop and you're forced into changing. That's what I would say, is be preemptive with it. So use that juggler analogy, because your body it does miraculous things when we get out of the way, but when we give it too much, and that's our society, too much stress, too much crappy food, not enough sleep, too much lights, too much information, all that stuff causes us to, again, accumulate, and then at one point, things drop. Try not to let it drop. Be balanced with your life. Find out what that means for you, because I try to do the same thing. I've had to take a step back and say, hey, I got to say no. I have to make sure that I'm balanced, because I get nuts, okay? I can't handle a lot. That's just how it goes. I'm a very high stress individual. When I take on more projects and more things, I lose my health, I lose my sanity. So I have to find balance for myself. And for a lot of times that's saying no and focusing on these simple things that I have to do every day. Simplifying my diet, that's another way of doing it. I have to simplify my diet because I'm sensitive to everything. I'm sensitive to all these different foods, which sucks. It's just how it goes. So anyways, that's how I use it. Try to give the juggler a break, and we'll see how that works out for you. Until next time, I'll see you then.